were expensive.
Why?
Because when I was a small child, about 5, I stuffed a peanut butter and jelly sandwich into a VCR. My mother was totally pissed. And I discovered that day that peanut butter and jelly sandwich is not a good show.
Oh, this was the last day of my childhood. I've always been a very slow person. Slow to wake up in the morning, slow to get out of the car, a slow eater, a slow reader, a slow runner. So, it only makes sense that I was a late bloomer. I found that startling smear of reddish brown in my underpants at the age of 15 years, 5 months and 29 days, just 1 day shy of being exactly 15 and a half years. That night I mistook my menstrual cramp for the need to poop. So I went to the bathroom, and upon seeing a smear of reddish brown on the toilet paper in my hand, I burst into song. I'm every woman, it's all in me. Yeah, but no one was as excited as I was. If only I'd known what the next 8 days had in store. That's right, my first period lasted 8 days. 8 fucking days. Oh, that was a good one. With the heaviness of my flow, I couldn't ignore the convenience of a tampon. Now, that's not to say I wasn't totally freaked out to put one in. I demanded that my sister be on the other side of the bathroom door to aid me. She was a pro. She got her period at 12. And it wasn't putting it in that freaked me out so much. Although 6 months later, during my second period, I figured out I'd been putting it in wrong. That was why I was so uncomfortable. But it was pulling it out that freaked me out. I had these horrific images in my head of the white cotton absorbing the monsoon that had formed in my uterus and swelling to the size of a baseball. I wasn't ready to pull a baseball out of my vagina. However, once I worked up the courage to just yank it out, through my tears I could see that it was nothing more than what Sonja brilliantly describes as a dead mouse. I've never been so relieved to see such a gruesome sight. But unfortunately, even the toughest tampon couldn't help me through this week of hell. Within an hour, I could have soaked through a maxi pad and a maxi tampon. I distinctly remember sitting in geometry sophomore year, and I shifted in my seat, and I could feel the warmth slip out past the tampon into my pad. No. Yeah. So later that day, it was after school before play practice, and I was cleaning myself up, which was becoming a really lengthy task involving lots of toilet paper. And I just finished in preparation to put in my very last tampon. And I just heard this little plop, and a blood clot leapt into the toilet and settled to the bottom of the bowl, revealing itself to be about the same size as a china saucer. Oh! Okay, disclaimer, not really, but at the time that's what it felt like. So what you felt just now is what I felt then. It was really more like a silver dollar, so that's still pretty big, right? Okay. Yeah, so I flipped out, and I started sobbing, and I called my sister to pick me up from school, and I can't even remember if I went back to play practice that night. But later, at home, my mom insisted that we go to the emergency room. She was convinced I was losing unhealthy amounts of blood. So, Rachel, maybe it is possible to die when I don't know.
Thank you.
And I was all for it until my mom informed me that a resident who was not a real doctor might have to do an examination. I started crying. And even though I started crying, to the emergency room we went. After a long night with a bloodthirsty, needle-happy, yet very jovial phlebotomist and no examination, I was sent home with the doctor's orders to just take the next day off, which I was only too glad to do, considering I was literally sore just from all the times I twisted her ass to get toilet paper. Not kidding. Oh. Now, almost 5 years later, my period is nowhere near this horrific, and I'm on it right now, which is a good thing. So and as for why it was so heavy the first time, I still don't know for sure. But as for bursting into Shaka Khan's 1978 hit for that special time of the month, that's hardly changed.
What do you mean I'm deciduous? When it rains, am I smelling worms or actual rain? Because they smell about the same. Why do I shiver sometimes when I pee? And last question. I promise. Who wants to stay after for open mic and conversation?